Hi, and welcome to the third Contemplative Friday. I hope you've had a good week, and I hope the weekend is shaping up well, and that you have a productive and restful weekend. And to get us into the weekend, I thought I'd offer another contemplation of material that we've covered. So, as always, find yourself in a comfortable position. If you want, shake your shoulders around. Settle down into the seat. Plant the feet firmly on the ground. Sit up nice and straight. And I'd invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. And at this point, we'll take in a long, slow, deep breath to the count of 4 or 5. And a long, slow exhale out to the count of 4 or 5. And take another long, slow, deep breath in to 4 or 5. And a long exhale out to 4 or 5. And we'll take another long, slow, deep breath in. A long, slow, deep breath out. And at this point, just release the breath. Let it flow naturally. Try to calm your mind of all the thoughts by focusing on your breath. Focus on where you feel the breath, maybe at the base of your nostrils or in the rise and fall of your belly. Just let it flow naturally in and out. If your mind wanders, like it might, just gently invite your attention back to the breath. And now what I'd like you to picture is a fire, maybe in a fire pit. On the beach somewhere, out in a forest maybe. And imagine you had a metal pair of tongs for roasting marshmallows or just for stirring the fire with. And imagine holding that metal in the flames. And initially you would see that metal begin to glow just a gentle red picture the photons coming out of that metal rod. Imagine waves emanating out as it begins to give off the energy that it's taking in from the fire. If they're red photons, they're relatively long wavelengths. So as you picture the waves of the photons, picture long distances between those waves. Now, as we leave the metal in the fire longer, it begins to change color. We notice subtle variation, and it starts to shift from red to orange, a little bit brighter. So picture the photons that are going past you now, with a little bit shorter wavelength, a little bit higher energy, and more of them. And as the metal gets hotter yet, we begin to see a yellow color develop too. So now we have some of the red photons still being emitted, some orange being emitted, now more yellow being emitted, and mixed with that some blue, some really short wavelengths. Not many of them, but a few. So picture all of those different photons emanating from the metal. And the metal gets hotter, the light gets brighter, more intense, more photons are coming out, and the color continues to shift to a really, really pale yellow, almost white at this point. So the number of red photons has decreased, the number of yellow photons, short wavelength, blue photons, short wavelength, has increased dramatically. Their intensity, their number is very great. So picture a lot of short wavelength photons and a few of the longer wavelength photons. Imagine their waves passing you. And at the hottest point, the metal rod appears to be bright white, a brilliant white, meaning that all of the colors of the rainbow are being given off by that metal. So imagine long wavelengths, shorter wavelengths, shortest wavelengths representing blue. But now the ultraviolet catastrophe says that there would be very, very few really short wavelengths being given off. So the greatest number of wavelengths would be in that blue and the green, and not so many any shorter than that. But it appears white because we have all the colors being given off. But it would be impossible for a single wavelength to carry away all that energy on its own. So we can't have very many short wavelengths. They would just have too much energy. So we get that curve, the characteristic ultraviolet catastrophe curve of high intensity blue and green, but low intensity ultraviolet. But all those waves are emanating from the metal rod. Now, focus your energy and your attention into the metal. Drive into the metal in your mind and picture the electrons. The electrons gaining energy, moving from lower energy orbitals up to higher energy orbitals, gaining energy from the flame, and then losing that energy, relaxing back down, transitioning back to lower energy orbitals by spitting out photons of varying wavelengths. Big transitions from the fifth shell down to the first shell. High energy transition would require a very high energy photon, very short wavelength, maybe a blue wavelength. So we see that one as blue coming at us. Other transitions, sixth shell to fifth shell, much lower in energy because those energies are closer together. Those shells are closer together in energy. Lower energy photon then, a red photon comes careening past us. So all of those transitions, all of that chaos, electrons transitioning from low energy orbitals to higher energy orbitals and back down to low energy orbitals, and hundreds of millions of them doing it simultaneously at random and spitting out the photons, creating this glorious white light, this white heat that we see. How wonderful it is. What a setting. How great that we understand what's happening and that we know about photons and about electrons and orbitals. And how that enriches our experience of seeing this metal and that searing white heat. And now you can return your attention to your breath. No need to force it, just feel it flow in and out. When other thoughts cross your mind, simply bring your attention back to your breath. Feel it flow in and out of your nose. Feel your belly expand and contract. And take a long, slow, deep breath in. Long exhale out. And another long, slow, deep breath in. Slow exhale out. And maybe begin to wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, shrug your shoulders, rotate your head a little bit, loosen up. Gradually open your eyes, return to the day. And carry this peaceful moment with you into the day and through the weekend. You can always just stop throughout the day, do the same kind of practice, collect your thoughts, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.